14 Powerful Methods for Resolving Conflicts. When we disagree with someone, we frequently attempt to correct them. That is, to persuade them that our viewpoint is correct, and theirs is not. False X. We wouldn't, after all, ever hold an opinion we believe to be incorrect. But as we all know from experience, it's not easy to persuade people to acknowledge when they're mistaken. Not only is it usually ineffective, but it frequently sparks actual confrontation. Fortunately, there are lots of practical approaches for resolving conflicts. Think about trying them out. First rule: avoid being defensive. Avoid being defensive. We all experience the impulse to jump to our defense in any kind of disagreement, whether it be personal or professional. You could discover that, before the other person has fully expressed their viewpoint, you are always trying to refute it with words like, but, nevertheless, or, however. Attempt to change the course of events. How does it make you feel when someone consistently disputes your beliefs and doesn't seem to care what you have to say? Give it your best effort for a moment to see things their way. Just like you, they have reasons for holding the opinions that they do. This does not mean you have to agree with them, but you can prevent things from becoming personal if you show them you are considering what they are saying. Try saying something like, "That's a valid point," and, "I understand what you mean." Show that you value their viewpoint even if you disagree with it. Tip number 2, steer clear of the blame game. Stay out of the blame game. You can never truly win when you feel attacked and go on the attack, even questioning the other person's intelligence or integrity. You've only created an adversary. Quit placing the blame elsewhere. Create an environment of respect instead. One where everyone is free to express themselves without fear. Allow people to express and defend their opinions without interfering. Third, pay attention intensively. Listen with action. Actively listening to the other person is possibly the best technique to end a disagreement. Allow them to express themselves. You want to express yourself. Pay attention to what they have to say rather than listening only to find faults and creating counterarguments while they are speaking. It's possible that you'll find out that you missed the true point being made by the other individual. You might find points of agreement. They will appreciate you listening, anyway. Start statements with I. Number 4. Start statements with T. Statements that start with you give the impression that you are criticizing the other person. In actuality, this exposes a weakness in you. Your viewpoint should be independent of the shortcomings of another individual and stand on its own. Tell the other person how it impacts you if you feel that they are preventing you from expressing yourself. Compared to, "You aren't listening, I feel like I'm not being understood," is far less confrontational. The first comment is about you, while the second is meant to make the other person uncomfortable and put them on the defensive. This has the potential to significantly alter a conversation. These kinds of I comments allow the other person to take a moment to consider their own actions. It may result in an environment of regard for one another. Explore your feelings. Tip number 5. Control your feelings. Speaking out of rage or irritation is not a good way to settle disputes. Your ability to reason closes down when you're upset, making it impossible for you to come up with a workable solution. Wait until you have calmed down before venting your feelings to others so that you can have a rational conversation. If you want to act out, have a tantrum, but do it before you talk to them. You can argue more persuasively for yourself and be receptive to other viewpoints when you are composed and reasonable. 6. Demonstrate your ability to make compromises. Display your ability to compromise. Certain conflict management techniques may work better in some circumstances than others. In certain situations, it's preferable to just be understanding and steer out of conflict, especially if you don't really care. When you have to make a decision or establish yourself, a competitive strategy could be far more helpful. However, compromise is usually the only path to any kind of resolution in confrontations. To proceed, you must reach a mutually agreeable conclusion. Demonstrate to others that, despite your continued conviction that you are correct, you don't always have to get your way. You'll gain respect from others for prioritizing a solution over your own ego. 7th rule. Never discredit someone else to others. Remember not to badmouth others. You will only cause them to feel deceived if you divulge facts of a disagreement you are having with someone before absolutely necessary. And so they have no choice but to disparage you in order to justify themselves. You don't look good in this. Talking someone down isn't the only method to let out your displeasure or rage. If you really must do it in front of a mirror, write it down, or speak with an impartial third party. Conflict resolution requires both respect and trust. 8th. Try not to take it so personally. Never personalize it. We become defensive because we believe that our beliefs or deeds are a direct reflection of who we are. However, you shouldn't take it personally when someone expresses disagreement with you or offers criticism of your work. Even if someone feels that you could do better or that your performance needs work, it does not necessarily follow that they think you are a bad person. I think they might even be right. Recognize that it will be much simpler to avoid interpersonal conflict or find a solution to disagreements that is agreeable to all parties involved if you can tell the difference between what they are criticizing and who you are as a person. Number 9. Observe nonverbal cues. Pay special attention to. Listen closely to multivernal communication. Directly handling conflicts is not everyone's cup of tea. Some people would rather avoid confrontation at all costs or at least be tolerant. They find disagreement uncomfortable and will say or do practically anything to avoid being in an uncomfortable position. This may result in increasing emotional strain. You might not realize this until it gets to a boiling point, since they are not being truthful with you. Thus, don't believe all that others say. Keep an eye out for nonverbal cues that indicate emotions, such as tone of voice, body language, and facial expressions. Saying, "I'm okay," when they are sighing, turning away, or fidgeting is not going to be particularly believable. You will be able to tell when someone's words do not align with their emotions if you can recognize these indicators. After that, you might act to persuade them to tell you the truth. Number 10. Put the resolution of the conflict ahead of being correct. Advance resolving the dispute above being right in priorities. You may believe that something is wrong or that someone is treating you unfairly. Perhaps you see yourself as the victim of a policy change at work or of a compromise. It's something that might easily make you feel angry and annoyed. It's not usually just about you in these situations. Quit and take another look at things. It's possible that the decision or compromise was made with the greater good in mind. Yes, you might be correct, but you should think carefully about whether you truly want to stick to your position at the expense of potential conflict and animosity. Not every conflict merits involvement. Number 11. Know when to offer an apology and pardon. Recognize when to extend a pour and grace. Saying, "I'm sorry," to someone can be really challenging. This is especially true in situations where you don't think you need to apologize. Additionally, you could become so angry that you will never want to forgive someone if they have wronged you in any manner but won't acknowledge it. However, keep in mind that sometimes it's better to settle a dispute than to uphold your dignity. Like you, others may find it difficult to acknowledge their faults. You may be able to have an even better relationship with them if you can forgive them and set aside your grudge. It is a poor use of time and energy to harbor resentment. Discontent. Number 12. Pay attention to the here and now, not the past. Remember the present time and not the past. Conflicts with people have a tendency to become personal. You can become bitter when you begin to recall prior disagreements you've had with them in the past. Even if it might have nothing to do with the current problem, you might even bring them up in an attempt to criticize them. Applying the 48-hour rule is one approach to prevent this. You should discuss any offensive words or actions you witness with the person concerned within 48 hours. If not, simply let it go. When you are in a fresh fight, avoid using the past conflicts as a weapon. Brand new battle. It will merely be more difficult to reach a resolution since the other person will be angry with you for it. Number 13. When appropriate, use humor. Apply humanity when suitable. Laughing is a fantastic way to release tension. You can't really be angry when you're laughing, is you? But you have to use caution. You should refrain from making light of your counterpart's stance, offending them, or doing anything else that might annoy them. Recognize the humor of those around you. While some people find humor funny, others don't. Only use comedy to diffuse tense situations and divert attention from the main conflicting issue for a short while. One way to do this is to make light of oneself with self-deprecating humor. A well-timed joke could be all that's required to diffuse tensions and increase openness to a workable solution for all parties. Number 14. Keep in mind the value of the partnership. Never forget how important this relationship is. The point of disagreement may seem like the most important thing in the world at any one time. However, conflicts are a constant and are nearly usually of a transient nature. Almost always, a solution is found. Recall that relationships, whether successful or not, typically endure. Rarely is sticking to your position worth losing a friend or making a relationship worse. Conflicts do, after all, eventually cease, but individuals do. How are they going to view you? Consider the relative importance of the topic of discussion to your connection with your contender. Make sure you consider the potential costs of winning in relation to the benefits. Keeping up positive relationships will make it easier for you to settle disputes down the road. How do you feel? How do you handle disagreement? Which of these approaches do you employ? Comment and share your ideas below. Please like and share this video with your friends if you liked it so that we can continue to make more like it. Click the subscribe button and don't forget to click the notification bell for more videos just like this one. Don't forget to watch our other videos as well. Thank you for viewing.